take tomorrow. I will try to present you an overall picture about projects relating to Quran and Sunnah studies in as much as possible in an analytical way. The Republican area, I will present you a picture at the end of the Ottoman Empire and especially at the beginning, from the beginning of the Turkish Republican area. So we can say that this period, approximately 1 century, because now we are closing to the one annual of the building of the Turkish Republican area next year. The Quran and Hadith projects, I will try to analyze in chronological order. First official governmental Quranic project was translation of the Quran into Turkish and also voluminous Quranic commentary in Turkish, which published later under the title of Hak Dini Quran Dili, Religion of Truth with Language of the Quran. This project was by the decision of the first constituent parliament official. Second, first official governmental Hadith project was translation of Tejrid al-Sarih of Al-Zabidi into Turkish with some commentaries and notes. These two projects were by the decision of the first constituent parliament. Both of the projects are realized due to special laws issued by the first Turkish Republican Parliament. Both of them were official governmental, political, to support official religious services in order to satisfy the religious needs of the society more than being independent, civil, and academic scholarly. The Quranic commentary and translation of the summary based on the selection of Al-Sahih al-Bukhari were published officially by the Presidency of Religious Affairs. As to the translation of the Quran, it has a very interesting story which concludes with so-called lost translation penned by the national poet Mehmet Akif Ersoy. A second official project also belongs to Turkish Presidency of Religious Affairs after 19th, during 29 February period, under the pressures of generals of the government and under the pressures of generals on the government. The need to a new Quranic commentary is discussed in a series of scholarly meetings with participation of academicians from different faculties of Ilahiyat. Later, it became clear that the Turkish Religious Foundation was preparing another Quranic commentary at the same time. This commentary was published later in the name of Turkish Presidency of Religious Affairs after collapse of its own project. It is very interesting to point out that one of the academicians from Ankara University Faculty of Ilahiyat claimed that these meetings are nothing more than waste of the time, since the Presidency of Religious Affairs will publish the commentary which prepared by scholars who are in very close relation and cooperation with the Turkish religious fount like Hayrettin Karaman and others. Actually, the Quranic commentary prepared by TDV, Turkish Religious Foundation, was published under the title of Way of the Quran, Quran Yolu, in 6 volumes. But after a short time from its publishing, this Quranic commentary became a target of many serious scholarly critics. One of them written by Professor Mehmet Hayri Kırbaşoğlu in more than 100 pages, and the second one written by Prof. Dr. Mustafa Öztürk after publishing of the second edition, which is claimed that many corrections and changes are made by the authors. Against the claim of the authors, the second edition was worse than the first edition. In fact, the first and the second editions of this commentary were not more than a compilation of articles and encyclopedic information which were at the time available in the source material archive for Encyclopedia of Islam in Istanbul. As to the translation of the Quranic verses, in this commentary, the situation is much more serious. This is because of authors' dependence upon a previous Turkish translation made by them and published by Saudi authorities. Unfortunately, the translations were much more problematic than the translations of the first edition. The most important detail of all these critiques you can find, unfortunately, in Turkish in an article written by me and by Mustafa Öztürk, both of them in Turkish. The most important critiques directed to this commentary were about its content. Shortly saying, this official Quranic commentary was not better than the commentaries written or translated and published by civil individuals or publishing houses. To get more and detailed information about these very serious critiques, it will be very useful to look at the two aforementioned nearly 100 pages articles. At the same years, the Presidency of Religious Affairs offered a group of scholars to write a contemporary commentary on the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, for both public readers and intellectuals. This was a direct offer to a group of scholars without any consultation and discussion through scholarly meetings such as workshops or symposiums. Most of the scholars and head of them were from Faculty of Ilahiyat, Ankara University. This working group presented a plan for a voluminous book after an intensive work that took many months. Sünnet-i Çağa Taşımak, translating or transferring the prophetic sunnah to the age, was the title of this project. But it is cancelled by presidency without mentioning any reason or justification for it. Moreover, the presidency did not make any payment for the group members as it was stated in the contract agreement. I am writing all these details regarding this project because I was the head of the working team. Subsequent developments were similar to what happened to the Quranic commentary project. Many years later, after cancelling the Sunnah project, another project appeared in order to prepare a contemporary commentary on the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Although many staff, research tools, and infrastructure resources and large financial resources were allocated for this work, the result was again a complete failure and a fiasco. The result of such immense possibilities in terms of money and other facilities was not but a voluminous book titled as Hadislerle Islam, Islam through Hadith reports, which was not at all difficult for this six-volume work to be written individually by academics without the need for these costs and investments. This work, which is nothing more than a showy luxury print, has not gone one step further than what is available in terms of content. So it can be said that this luxury printed book was very far from meeting the expectations from academic circles and the society in general. This is because it was not better than other similar books which were already published by other publishing houses and were available to the citizens. Even some similar books published at the end of the Ottoman era was better than this official publication by presidency. Some selected examples from this book are given in my latest book, Sünnet-i Çağa Taşımak, transferring the prophetic sunnah to the age. I used this title for my latest book. As to the exaggerations in the Western media about this project, describe it as Turkish Hadith reform, and claimed that its aim, especially BBC, and claimed that its aim was selecting the authentic reports and clearing the fabricated ones. And it has even been mentioned that this project was an exemplary project for the Islamic world. As David, I will give you the name of the author of the article. In fact, such considerations are mainly because of popular and official statements to create such impression in media and common opinion, but without making any comprehensive and critical examination on the publication. On the contrary, it is a book which is very far from being an original contribution to Hadith studies in general and especially to the contemporary Hadith commentaries. It is an ordinary Hadith commentary for general reader in order to provide them a preaching book, but not a book for guiding the society regarding global, regional, and national developments and the crises in the fields of politics, administration, economy, culture, ethics, morals, education, media, environment, natural resources, etc. In this regard, despite of its publishing a century ago, the book, which was written and published at the end of the Ottoman period, Binbir Hadith Sharhi, commentary on 1001 prophetic hadith by Mehmet Arif Beg, he was a bureaucrat in Egypt at that time, can be considered this book more advanced, developed, and qualified than the one by presidency. So it is easy to describe that this official publication did not bring any new and unknown approach, neither to the authenticity problem nor the contemporary hadith commentaries. Failure of thematic Quranic commentary. Following the two failed experiences with the claim of presidency will produce and present the best commentary, contemporary Quranic commentary to the community, we have witnessed another unsuccessful attempt by the same governmental presidency. Quranic commentary by subject or topic entitled The Quran, the Life Guide. Ayat Rehberi Quran. This voluminous book, 5 volumes, like the previous two official attempts which claimed to produce the most successful and the most ambitious Quranic commentary, was another failure or even a fiasco. The most serious factor that led to this expected situation is the confusion faced by the authors, especially the officials of the presidency and editors of the project about the concept of thematic commentary. It looks that they have believed or convinced that sorting the Quranic verses according to their contents or collecting them topically was enough for claiming thematic commentary. Unfortunately, all academicians worked for this project seemed rendered to this shallow approach. On the other hand, this work seems bloated unnecessarily by repeating similar cliché sentences, preaching phrases, and even the same verses and their translations again and again. In fact, it is possible to state this superficial classification falls far behind the systematics of the previously published work called Systematic Quran Feristi, one of the authors here, Ilhami, Professor Ilhami. And also behind the plan of the before mentioned project, Sünnet-i Çağa Taşımak, transferring the prophetic Sunnah to the age. Unfortunately,
2 minutes left.
Okay, unfortunately, all this material in Turkish. Another problem which caused this superficial level is presenting the text with the style of sermon or preaching as Quranic commentary without offering any solutions or giving ideas for contemporary developments, current problems, and issues encountered in real life. So it is not exaggeration to claim that this voluminous commentary has not added anything new or unknown to the existing repertoire of Quranic commentaries, like the aforementioned voluminous hadith commentary. According to my personal opinion, the responsibility of this scandalous situation belongs to the officials of presidency and the editorial board more than the academicians, nearly 160-170 academicians who contributed to the poor performance of the publication without any objection or protest. Sira projects, works and translation with encouragement and support of some publishing houses, especially in Ankara. Many classics of the Sira literature were translated in addition to many critical studies realized by some critical scholars. This was in order to build a Sira library depending on a main Islamic literature aiming the correction of widespread and dominant stereotypical narratives, but not based on secondary sources, as is the situation regarding to the popular Sira publications. As far as my consideration, perhaps the most important trouble related to this admirable efforts is the lack of methodological and epistemological clarity. And another issue is to what extent the Western studies on the Sira and early Islam are observed and evaluated. Project of Chronology of Sirah, last one I think, one of the most important and unique projects related to the Sirah has been declared at 1908 by Mehmet Apaydın, Dr. Mehmet Apaydın, in his book Resulullah'ın Günlüğü, Diary of the Prophet. He graduated from the Middle East Technical University, Faculty of Education, Department of Physics teaching in 95. But his interest in Syria continued before and throughout his education. This project was supported later by Qur'an Center for Quranic Studies in Istanbul. Dr. Apaydın has written 2 volumes as a part of the project, which published by Qur'an. These books, Resulullah'ın Günlüğü, Diary of the Prophet, and the chronology of the Sirah of the Prophet, and integrative and holistic approach on all of these works in Turkish. 9. As to some other published projects, they are not worth of mentioning here because of their apologetic and populistic character. So, for example, the Meridian Derneği, this website is a good example. Project related to the contemporary issues and problems about the Sunnah and Hadith. I can only bring 2 projects worth of mentioning here to your attention. First is the project of Prof. Dr. Mehmet Hatipoğlu. Okay. My teacher, my mentor, under the general heading of criticizing of our Islamic heritage, which very well known in Turkey, academics, and second project of mine under the title of translating Sunnah in contemporary Islamic thought. Thank you very much for good listening.